All right, so let's talk a little bit about a potential Mets-Yankees trade that could go down. It's been talked about a lot on the radio the last few weeks. You've heard a lot of chatter about Jacob DeGrom possibly being a target for the Yankees. A lot of people don't think these teams would make a trade. I personally don't think it's very likely, but I do think there is a chance because they have what each other needs. My name is Bobby Hunt, and I'm going to delve into this topic a little further. So first off, let's start with the Mets. Not doing well at all lately. They started off 11-1. Been one of the worst teams in baseball since. Them and the Orioles have had the worst records since then. They're falling apart. Guys just aren't hitting. They're not producing. I think they have the third worst record in the National League right now. So if you're the Mets, it looks bleak not only right now, but the current roster that they have is pretty old. You have Todd Frazier, who's probably 30 now, that they just signed to a 3-year deal in the offseason. Jay Bruce they re-signed. He's very disappointing this year. Only about 3 home runs. He's 32, I believe. It's an old roster. Asdrubal Cabrera has been one of their best players. Another guy who's over 30. And their young players like Ahmed Rosario and Michael Conforto. Complete disappointments so far this year. Really haven't shown you much. They need to get something for Jacob DeGrom and or Syndergaard because basically they're not going to pay either of them huge contracts when their contracts are up in the next few years. And if they are going to do it, I suspect they'll only do it for one of them. And clearly, Syndergaard's hurt right now. He has a tender finger, so he's not going to be on the move right now at this moment. So it's got to be Jacob DeGrom. I believe he leads the league in the National League in ERA. So he's the prime target. And for the Yankees, they clearly need help with their starting pitching. Jordan Montgomery, done for the year with Tommy John. You just had CC on the DL for a little bit. He's finally back. But now Tanaka's on the DL with his hamstring issues from the Mets game this past weekend. So for the Yankees, starting pitching clearly is what separates them from the Astros and the Boston Red Sox. Other teams are competing against in the American League, like the Indians. Yankees have a great lineup, but those teams have better 1-2 punches. You have Keuchel and Verlander in Houston. You have Kluber and Carrasco with Cleveland. You have Sale and Porcello in Boston. Yankees, yes, Severino and Tanaka could be very good in the postseason. They were certainly last year. But that third spot is very up for grabs. I mean, Sabathia can only give you 5 or 6 innings usually. And still you want someone who can be more dominant than he can at this point. So Jacob DeGrom certainly makes a lot of sense. They need a starting pitcher no matter what. Even if it's not a DeGrom, someone like even like a Danny Duffy that might be available. He's more of a 3, 4, 5 starter, whereas Jacob DeGrom is an ace, and he would slide right in right behind Severino in the Yankees rotation. Now for the Yankees, a lot of young talent. That's what the Mets really need, someone to produce. Gleyber Torres has been unbelievable for the Yankees since being called up. He's playing tremendous second base. He has 13 home runs, tons of RBIs, just producing phenomenally for them out of the 9th spot. He would not be someone that the Yankees should trade. I think he's a franchise cornerstone. Of course, the Mets would love to have him. Would they trade DeGrom for him? I personally believe so. I think he's worth even like a one-on-one swap for each other because Torres is only 21, under control for many years. I think that would be slam dunk for the Mets. But for the Yankees, I think Torres is an integral part of this team, and it's only a matter of time before he potentially gets moved up into the upper tier of the batting lineup. What the Yankees should do, in my opinion, is trade Clint Frazier and either Chance Adams or Justice Sheffield in a package for DeGrom. You might have to include some other, lower level prospects that the Yankees have, but I think that's a deal that kind of makes sense for both teams. Mets could use a talented player like Frazier. He really should be on a major league team, but the Yankees just have a logjam in the outfield. And then you get another starting pitcher that's young and under control for a while that the Mets could use in either Adams or Sheffield. I don't think the Yankees should trade Andujar either. I mean, if the Mets really want him, maybe you consider it because you do have Jury at AAA right now. But personally, I think the Yankees could package Clint Frazier and Justice Sheffield and maybe some other prospects for DeGrom, and I believe that would be a fair trade, honestly. If not, then maybe you throw Andujar there and Clint Frazier and some other prospects for DeGrom. I think it is a mutually beneficial deal. Those are the needs for each team. Mets badly need some young a young infusion of talent and guys that are under control for a while, because clearly they just don't want to pay money to some of the big name free agents. I don't see them pursuing Manny Machado or Bryce Harper this offseason. So ultimately, great deal would be Chance Adams and Clint Frazier, or Justice Sheffield and Clint Frazier for DeGrom. Let me know what you think. I think that would be a mutually beneficial deal. Both teams would look good for it. The only problem is, one of the reasons that people believe they would never do this trade is because if one of them loses on it, it'll be talked about for years. But I think they can't worry about that. Just worry about your own team and realize, hey, the Yankees have some young players that we could really use to build our farm system and develop our players and move along and kind of start rebuilding, because honestly that's a better avenue for the Mets. I think it's done the potential run that they would have. And as for the Yankees, clearly starting pitcher is of utmost need right now for them in their quest for a 28th World Series championship.